Okay.
I was looking for it too.
I know.
Anything on your guys' minds that's worthy of talking about?
Well, this whole week I've been here talking about, what this next year is going to hold. Been planning out the quarter. Um, yeah, and so I've been planning out my own material for my channel while I've been planning out material for SketchUp and whatnot. So this whole week my mind has been in planning mode.
Plans?
And I do have to say, like, for some odd reason, being here really makes me want to have like a giant whiteboard in my house. Because there's like whiteboards everywhere at SketchUp. It's like, new age open concept. Great facility. Like, it's very cool. But there's like whiteboards everywhere for people to like draw on and write ideas and all this other kind of stuff. And so when we started planning out all of our content for the quarter, we wrote in big bold letters, "No butt roses." and then blowing smoke out your butt. And so he says, we're blowing roses out our butt. And they were like, all right, no butt roses. And so that was our rule.
Episode title: No butt roses.
No butt roses.
Got it.
Basically saying, like, be honest, be honest, be sincere. Don't blow smoke out your butt. Don't blow roses out your butt.
I thought it was like a metaphor for like watching out for the thorns or something.
I don't know. That could be it.
Keep your butt out of the roses.
That wasn't the context of what we were talking about, but it could be applicable.
It is now.
Yep. It is now.
So I guess maybe that in mind, because I don't think we talked about it last week. Because since last week we were playing catch up with not having recorded for about 3 weeks. We haven't really talked about anything for this year, for 2023. Mm-hmm. If there's anything different that you guys are going to be shifting to for planning, whether it's channel related, personal related, or family or whatever else, that might be interesting to talk about too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that we all have things that we're all looking forward to at some point.
Yeah, even like trips and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we found a little something to talk about.
Boom. That's
butt roses.
Yes.
What would a bouquet look like?
What would a good bouquet look like?
Very cheeky.
Oh my god.
Rosy cheeks.
Just don't include any chocolates with it.
You know what? This is terrible because now I have to like either model or make like cheeks with roses coming out of them and send to like,
Yeah.
You know what? We
Aaron
should contact Sarah. We should contact Sarah and have her do like a quick little sketch for that. That's kind of right. That's right up her alley.
Do it.
Puns intended.
Yes.
I love it. I'm for it.
All right. I'm ready to start when you guys are.
I'm ready to stop when you guys are.
This is when it starts getting good.
Yeah.
Wes starts pulling out the puns.
From somewhere.
Yep. All right. What's up, Internet? You're listening to the Making Geeks podcast, a podcast for makers, families, and geeks.
How'd it do? What's up?
Hey.
Hey. We're on a roll. 2 weeks in a row. Woo.
I know. Stop us now. It's Thursday already. I forgot. Like 3 o'clock rolled around, and I'm like, wait, we record tonight. I forgot what day of the week it was. I didn't have work Monday. Then I was out yesterday for some family related things. So the week went by even faster than usual.
Yep. This month is almost already over.
Yeah, we were talking online. And I said something about March being kind of far away, and then you guys just reminded me, wait, January's almost over. Like, indeed, it is. So,
yeah.
Almost 1 month down in 2023 already. So, what you guys been up to this week?
On the weekend, I had a lantern festival that I attended, where I created a giant Game Boy. If you were following me on Instagram, you might have seen some posts on there regarding it, and it was 4 feet tall, 2 foot wide, had lots of LEDs and other lighting inside, and even had a screen. I had a projector in it that was like back casting to a screen, basically the back projecting on the back side of the screen to illuminate.
Backlit type, yeah.
Backlit, yes, thank you. That didn't come through in some of the pictures. I have to take some more pictures with better lighting to get that detail in there, and that worked.
The video you posted on Instagram showed it pretty well.
It did. Okay.
Yeah.
And that came out pretty good. The projection part stopped working halfway through the event. I think it was too cold. It was like 20 something degrees, and I think the batteries didn't like that. But overall, it was a great reception for it. And there's tons of other lanterns out there, all kinds of different designs, giant fish and nursery rhyme characters, and there was a giant Millennium Falcon. There was all kinds of. I'll have to share some of the other pictures that were there. And then my Game Boy was like pulling up the rear. Like we had this different. There's different ways you can hold these things. So they're mostly they're all hollow. They're built with willow branches, like really thin and pliable, like sticks, extremely thin. No like offshoot branches. Just kind of like, when your parents, if your parents ever told you to go outside and pick a switch, like these would be like the quintessential, like ideal things. Like they would destroy people, like. But we use those, and if you soak them in like water, they can become like hyper pliable to the point where you could like bend them into circles and other curved things. And then they also had bamboo for like more rigid structural parts. So using those and zip ties and just masking tape, we're able to make different shells of structures. And then we use like giant coffee filters that were used in like industrial coffee machines. So they're probably like 2.5 feet wide, or in diameter, I should say. And you basically get a sponge and water down Elmer's glue, white glue, and you just kind of coat the paper on the one side, and you put it up and kind of wrap the edges around some of the posts, some of the structural members. And as it dries, it actually pulls taut, almost like a drum. And so like any of the little wrinkles that you would see like in a coffee filter, they've got like the, circular ripples on them. It gets completely stretched out. Like it looks like it's going to be jacked up, but it ends up being like really tight. You could even like thump on it like a drum. So you just cover the entire structure, and it ends up being like super lightweight. And you can either hold it with like a post or a pole, or you can have like a little belt that has like a little hoop, like a notch kind of thing in it, kind of like a color guard people wear in like parades and stuff to kind of like help support it on your body. Or you can get like a full hiking backpack, which I have, like an old school metal frames, and I took all the actual carrying baggage off, and I actually like strapped in like bamboo and stuff to hold it like upright, so you actually don't have to hold it with your hands. And I tried that, but I didn't plan it quite well. This is the first time I've ever done it, and it ended up being too high, and it wasn't quite balanced right, and it was kind of windy. So as I got it up there, the wind started like twisting it, and it was like really super sketchy. So like, all right, no, let's not do that. I took it off, and luckily some maker buddies and other friends were there and to help me, because I was kind of freaking out a little bit. So I had brought duct tape and some other emergency items, so we kind of lashed some stuff together, made like a giant pole that could hold it up, and it wasn't too bad. But we walked around, and we were like in the parade, me and everyone else that helped me. It was kind of like an open kind of thing. Anybody that wanted to walk in it could do it, and it was just kind of neat. And they had like fire spinning people, I guess. Like not like quite fire breathing, but the other sort of acrobatic-y kind of stuff with the batons that are lit. And like people had hand warmers, and those were like the ultimate hand warmers, I guess. They had everybody else showed up, so it was a lot of fun. I definitely want to do it again next year. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to the last couple weeks. Been sort of working on that and doing some. Oh, I haven't mentioned this.
Oh.
Yes. So there was a spontaneous in-wall sprinkler system that developed in my house. That was fun. We had a leaky water pipe that was in the wall, And so like
No, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Spontaneous in-wall sprinkler system.
I was in the basement and I heard like this shower sound. And Grant was down here. I'm like, "What? Do you hear that?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What is that?" He goes out into the hall. He's like, he points in the central HVAC room in our basement, and it's just like raining from the ceiling. We're like, "Oh gosh!" And then like it was like triage mode basically. I went into we're like, "Oh, turn the water off, do this, da, da," and we're troubleshooting it. And so you guys remember all that work that we had done in the kitchen? Well, apparently the work didn't stop. Something they did when they installed like a new cabinet, and they used like long kind of like thin nails to shoot the back of the cabinet to the wall, and they were too long.
Oh no!
And they shot through into like the gray polybutylene or whatever piping. We had like five water lines like going from the main, basically the upper floor water system. And what I looked at we figured out where it was coming from. I cut like huge holes in the wall in the stairwell. We had just painted in there like a couple months ago too, so Catherine was livid about that. So I cut the holes in the walls, and you could see all the nails coming out, like in a vertical line, like every 3 inches, like clockwork, and they were like barely missing this one pipe, except this one, the end of it was kind of rusted looking. And I could tell, and I felt the backside of that pipe was like facing away from me, and I could feel like a little nubbin there. And she turned the water back on for a split second, and it was like right from that spot. And what had happened apparently, they shot the nail in, and it self-sealed inside the pipe, the plastic pipe. And over time, that metal nail started corroding and rusting away to the point where it wasn't plugging the hole anymore, and the finger wasn't in the dam, so to speak, and it just started. And luckily we were down here when it happened, because if we had been like even eating dinner at the rate it was like raining down in there, it would have been bad. But we got it fixed up. I patched the hole in the wall. I even had, like, we were about to call the plumber for them to fix it, and then I was getting fed up with it. And Lowe's was already closed, so I couldn't buy the stuff I needed. And in the morning, like, we basically went with like water bottles for our water system overnight, like washing up and doing, dishes or brushing your teeth or whatever. And I bought a crimper that I needed. It's like this one tool is like $120 for a stupid like huge crimper, and that's how they get you.
Yeah.
Right there. And so I'm like, well, if this crap happens again, I got the stuff right. So it took like 5 seconds to repair it once I knew where it was and everything. But then we had to have fans and dehumidifiers running like for 2 days, and yeah, that was a fun adventure. So
because with that type of pipe, you can't treat it the same way you would a PVC pipe, right? You have to patch it a different way. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. There's not really, from what I could tell online, there's not like a recommended like patch. You just have to replace that section.
So you cut it out, and is it like a coupling of the same material, or?
Yeah. So they don't sell that exact pipe anymore. That was something that was discontinued in the mid '90s, late '90s, I think, because of issues of pipes bursting for different conditions. They were susceptible to some other, like apparently like chlorine and some other things would cause them to deteriorate if you had like a little bit and there's other issues. There's like a whole class action lawsuit thing. So all new houses since that point don't use that anymore. They use like, I think PEX related stuff. So if you see like shark bite connectors and all that sort of stuff at Lowe's, that's basically what I had to buy. I had to buy I also didn't have a piece of shark bite or PEX piping, excuse me. And I didn't have the fittings, so you basically had to cut the area out, and you had to go from polybutylene fitting to shark bite, and then shark bite. I had to basically splice both ways to go from old to new, then new to old.
And that's why I was asking too, because I don't see that gray pipe much anymore.
Right. Yeah. So it's got like a section of blue pipe in between, and like the little fitting has like special barbs on one side that are like slightly bigger to fit in on the inside of that. I've used it for other repairs in the house, and it's held up pretty well so far, at least better than that pipe did. So
are you able to bill out the company that did your renovation?
Probably. I mean, they were licensed, but I didn't. I'm sure for that sort of thing, we would have had to have them come out and look at it. It would have been like a long drawn out thing.
The time.
Yeah. In the end, it cost me like $100, and I get to keep the tools. I mean, I could be a dick about it and not.
If there ended up
they
being
were super cool people, and they were nice, and I don't know.
I mean, but if you ended up having any real water damage,
Yeah,
at that point, it might have been worth
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, for sure. If we had, like I say, if we had been away at dinner or even a vacation or something, God forbid, yeah, it would have been a different story. But it didn't damage anything permanently besides that section of wall that I cut out, and I've already repaired it. We just got to paint it now. I've already drywalled it back, mudded it and stuff, which I'm getting pretty good at now after we built that wall in the in the basement. So it's enough talking for me. Someone
Yeah,
else go.
I remember being a kid and we went on a trip somewhere, and we came back and that same kind of thing happened in our kitchen. And we came back and the kitchen floor was this huge bubble, like you could stand on top of this, like, 2 foot 3 foot bubble in the kitchen floor that wasn't supposed to be there. You're like, that, wait, no, wait, what? And apparently, yeah, that similar thing, like it just, pinhole, and it kept going, and then it soaked into the particle board underneath the kitchen floor, the linoleum kitchen floor, and just swelled and swelled and swelled and swelled. So yeah, it was good that you were there, because I know what it's like. I know from experience what it would probably look like if you weren't there.
Yeah, and luckily, well, we were one of the last things we're trying to do in the room downstairs is replace the carpet with nicer stuff because it looks like canvas or something or burlap. It looks like burlap on the floor. It's like super old and weird and like not comfortable at all. It's very rough. And the water had like seeped under the wall going towards the theater room or whatever. And if we had new
Hmm.
carpet, it would have gone under there and like compromised that. But we're only like a month away from getting it. So like the timing couldn't have been better, I guess, if it would have happened at all. And it had missed my brand new receiver that's in the same HVAC room, like off to the side, because I'm trying to convert some of it to like storage, by like 2 feet, if that.
Jeez.
And when the power strip that was powering it was in a puddle, but it was like elevated just enough where it wasn't like it was like solid metal. It wasn't compromised or anything. So it was sketchy.
Lucky.
It was sketchy, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that means that you need to make some adjustments possibly in there to kind of protect some of that equipment.
Yeah. And full disclosure, since I don't sound like a complete superhero for this story, there was a little bit more casualty. So, in part of the troubleshooting, the wall that it was in, there were other outlets and stuff, and so we flipped the breaker. So, we didn't want anything to like shock us. We're like exploring what's going on or whatever, standing in the puddle at the bottom, who knows. So, we flipped the breaker for the kitchen, and we forgot to turn it back on, and it was what the refrigerator was on. So we didn't realize it till the next morning, and so all the meats and dairy stuff and eggs and bacon and all that stuff. Like I used a
Oh, and the
laser
eggs.
thermometer, yeah, and it was like 53, and I'm like, I looked it up online, and it's like above 40. I don't know. I'm like, I'm not gonna even worry about that. And it was like $60 in groceries, so you could include that in the bill, I guess. And I went back to look at the breaker panel with like the little inscription, and it didn't say anything about fridge on there. So like I wrote fridge with exclamation points in that little specific breaker, so I'll remember. Hey, number 12 is also the fridge. You idiot. So, ugh. So I think I broke
Yeah, we
even
had that
from.
issue in our house. I don't know who wired the breaker system, but they did not label very well.
Yeah.
Mm. I've been in Colorado all week. If you've watched my Instagram stories, you can see that I'm in Colorado. I came to hang out with the SketchUp guys to do quarterly planning to figure out all of our YouTube videos that we're going to do over the next couple months, and it's been great. Tuesday it snowed about 9 inches, so I was in heaven. I know that's not heaven for a lot of people, but for me it was fantastic. I went outside and literally rolled in snowdrifts just because I could. It was so much fun. But it's been great being up here, planning out what we want for the year, what we hope to do for the year, ideas for new content, how to reinvigorate old content, all that kind of stuff. And in the process of talking about all these hopes and dreams and goals and expectations for SketchUp, it's given me a lot of ideas for stuff for my own content. So I have been knee deep in 7-hour planning sessions all day this week. I am butt tired. Oh my gosh. It's just, You sit too long, and then you stand too long, and then you sit too long, and all day, every day. That's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, Sean?
I've been up to uh, taking a look, and this is going to kind of play to our topic for the night, but looking at how to become more efficient at some of the things that we're doing. So, I have my little piece of the pie where I do a lot of, the YouTube videos and, learning how all the machines work. But then my wife has been out getting some huge jobs for making stuff, and a lot of it's, laser related type of goods and items. And she's going after a lot more corporate clients. So we're getting like big batch orders of things. So much so that this last week, the Glowforge almost went in the trash. She was doing a bunch of cutting and stuff on it, and then she calls me frantically to come take a look at the Glowforge because it had done something that I'd never seen it do before. It started up and it kind of went clink, clink, like the whole carriage looked almost like it was racking, and it wouldn't move. So of course it freaked her out, and my initial response is, put it in the trash. Time to get the better laser finally. But that wasn't a response that she was very happy with. So I did a full cleaning, took some things apart, placed everything back, tried to make sure that the carriage was, I guess, parallel or perpendicular or whatever angle it's supposed to be at. Started it back up, and to my disappointment, it worked. So I wasn't able to get a new laser yet. I was...
if you needed it arranged, I'm sure we could... find a way to make it happen. It would be a shame if something bad happened to that Glowforge.
I was looking forward to making another video saying this thing is a piece of crap and showing the thumbnail of me dumping it in the trash, because me talking bad about the Glowforge tends to be the only way I could get traction on some videos.
What you need to do is you need to take that scene from Parks and Rec of Ron Swanson throwing the computer in the dumpster and put your face on top of it and put the Glowforge like superimposed over the computer, and that's your thumbnail right there. Just
yeah, I might be making that happen. But so trying to support my wife and a lot of the things that she's doing seems to be primarily what I've been working on this last week. And I did start my next video, which is going to be the Lego one that I talked about before. I actually took the first steps in trying to set that up, so that'll be coming out sometime, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. That's what I've been up to. So before we started recording, we talking about maybe plans for this year of how things are changing, things that we want to end up doing. Not really in the traditional New Year's resolution type thing, but just maybe things we're looking forward to doing this year, since it seems like we're all on interesting paths right now. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this year and what you guys are thinking about. So, who gets to go
I know
first?
we didn't. Yeah, I know we didn't talk about New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
But one of the things, I don't have any like fitness goals or like your standard resolutions for.
I don't do that stuff anymore.
Fitness pizza in my mouth.
Fitness pizza. Mm-hmm. But looking back over the past year, I have a really hard time finishing things. I'm really great at conceptual stuff, at getting stuff started, but not finishing things. And so one of the things that I decided for this year is that I want to focus. That is my goal for the year, is to focus. And so I made a rule that it's like, I'm not going to get a new book until all the books that I started, I finish. We're not going to get a new video game until all the games that we've bought over the past year, we beat or we finish. Like there's like projects that I've got, that are halfway done. I'm going to focus and I'm going to finish, because that's my goal for this year is to focus and actually finish the things that I started. And, I kind of mentioned it in our Discord chat, but I got a sponsor for my channel, and so my first piece of sponsored content is going to come out in the next 2 weeks. And so now I am responsible to someone outside myself, and so like I really need to make sure that I am focusing and I am finishing. And so that's my big goal for 2023 is to focus.
First of all, congrats. And that definitely is a different motivator. And that's kind of what drove me a lot through 2022. If I didn't have the sponsors that I had, it would have been different for me too. Cool.
It's exciting.
It is.
You mentioned resolutions. My resolution for this year is 4K everything. So I'm getting all the 4K movies. I'm watching them in the basement. It's going to be awesome. Those are my resolutions for this year. All right, who's next? I am hoping to, seriously though, I'm hoping to do some more Glowforge designs for their catalog. I'm going to try to lean into that a little bit heavier. It's not like the other results for the other previous design was like gangbusters or anything, but it did make some money. And so if I just compound that with a bunch of other stuff, I could see that'd be great passive income for me. And if I'm going to try to do like one design a month. I'm already behind the curve on this one because I've had, house flooding and stuff come up.
I think you're excused.
Yeah, I'm still going to try to knock one out hopefully this month. Do one a month. And so I've got a couple other things lined up. I've got some other events that I'm going to try to have stuff done by. I need to really come up and write it down on the calendar so I can have something to hold myself to instead of like these floating holidays in my mind kind of thing. Floating bullet points. But yeah, more focus would be great over here too. That's a great one to have for sure.
One of my goals is to finish video games before I get a new one. Maybe one of your goals could be to finish a video game.
Oh, touche.
Put that challenge out there.
Okay.
Yeah. But what do you do with the games that actually don't end?
Yeah, like Valheim, because it's still in development, so you just keep playing it.
Yeah, we do.
That's a loophole that we have to kind of figure out, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this year for me is going to be a little bit different. My YouTube schedule, I mean, unless I have videos I have to produce for a sponsor or some other obligation, I think my production schedule still might only be about once a month. But I think my bigger focus is going to be kind of like what you were saying, like the passive income. Since the new year, I've already been investing more time in getting my website up to where it should be. It's been lagging a lot. I'm also in the process of building a catalog of 3D models and then 2D designs for laser that I'll be offering for free for patrons, but then selling for a fairly low price on my website. And then probably trying to support a lot of what my wife is doing, because what she's doing is probably going to offset and probably even surpass a lot of what I'm bringing in on my side. So I think trying to automate as much as possible, trying to build more passive income, and then, make fun stuff in between that, and I guess see where that takes us. And there's some other stuff happening on the back burner too, which I probably shouldn't talk about quite yet, but maybe I'll tell you guys a little bit about it offline. Yeah.
You piqued my interest.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still like in the conceptual stage, but we'll see what happens. It's dependent on a couple other people and other situations, so that's it'll be revealed when the time is right for that.
Yeah, this year I'd love to do more stuff. Like, this is something I tried to do. I was planning on doing the year that COVID first happened, was to do more collaborations, more things with other people, either in person or virtually or whatever, just to have more maker to maker interaction and hanging out with friends and stuff, and trying to make that a more of a priority than in years past, whether that results in a video or not. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to being around people again a lot more.
Isn't it funny how we're still almost getting back into where we would like to be?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
So
on that note, what are some of the like events or things coming up that you guys are excited for the year?
Well, my son has a camp out in 2 weeks at a on an aircraft carrier down in South Carolina. It's a Boy Scout Cub Scout thing. So it'll be 2 nights, I think, on there. So that's gonna be interesting. I'll have some flashbacks, tell some old Navy stories and stuff. See how that is. Beyond that, I've got. Let's see. I'm skipping around somewhat. Going to Austin with a trip with just my wife. We're gonna go see Martin Short and Steve Martin in Austin, and so that's gonna be pretty cool. Be like
Of Texas fame?
yeah, Austin, Texas. Yeah, they're playing it.
Okay.
They only have a couple shows a year, and that was one that was still had tickets left and was not crazy expensive to get there and stuff. And so we're gonna do that. It'd be like an extended weekend, just kind of her and I. We haven't had a trip just us in a long time, and so we're gonna do that. And then in May, there's a Honda Element gathering in Western North Carolina that I've always wanted to go to and never have. It's like a camp out slash get together thing where they kind of go up this one mountain pass, which I don't like really driving on mountain passes that much, but it's sort of like a thing they always do. So you end up having like a line of like over 100 elements, and then they go up in this parking lot where they're like all at an angle, and they had like drone footage of like last year was like the most attended one they've ever had, like 120 elements or something, which would be cool. And there's like you see people's like modded ones or other things. Apparently, there's a guy who did his up to look like the what was it called, Mutt Cut or whatever from Dumb and Dumber. What's the name of the vehicle?
Oh,
the dog.
yeah,
the
Mutt Cut.
haircut.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the Element so, that they did, and it's like completely kitted out. And apparently, there are buttons in the front of it that like play songs or play snippets and quotes from the movie, including like the most annoying sound in the world. Like there's apparently like 5 different buttons the guy installed with like these preloaded sounds. And there's a guy that is in Western North Carolina that I'm trying to do more interactions with. He's an Instagram contact that I'm trying to befriend a little bit more. And he does custom stuff for elements to make them into like little conversion campers. Add like a little kitchen-y area and other things in the back. Really cool. It's like a whole sub community of just people doing this sort of stuff. So again, interact with other makers. He's getting a new CNC machine, so maybe I want to go out there and help him set that up. And then I would love to make mine unique by having R2-D2 stick out of the top, like an X-wing, but for the element. That would be a cool motivator to have that done by. And it's not like a full R2-D2 build. It's just the top half static and maybe have some lights or something on it. So it's not totally outside my wheelhouse. I don't have to worry about all the movement stuff like a lot of R2 stuff. If you try to put the RC motors in there and all the controls and all that stuff, I'm not going to do all that. So maybe be a lot more attainable since it's only half a build. I don't know, but it seems like a fun goal. And then in July we've got a trip to Cape Cod with a good friend of mine and his family, and so a lot of cool things. Then of course in August there's the Maker Alliance summer camp that we've discussed ad nauseum. I'm looking forward to. I think that's most of the stuff. We might have something for us later on that we might discuss at a later date. So we have a milestone podcast episode number coming up that we may have some stuff for. We'll see.
Yep. Well, we're currently in talks for something, so stand by.
Yes.
Yep.
Standing by.
My wife and I, we keep planning trips every year, but they always get kind of pushed off or something else comes up. But we're really trying to make a couple happen this year. We are considering driving cross country to Washington, D.C. It's kind of a lofty goal, but it's something that we've talked about doing for a while, just to see more of the country. And then we want D.C. to be a destination, no matter what, whether we drive there or fly there, probably in the summer. My son is graduating 8th grade this year, and for the 8th graders around here, it's usually a trip to DC is kind of like an equivalent of like a senior trip for 8th graders. for whatever reason, my son's school isn't doing it this year. So we might just kind of preempt it and just go on our own, since my wife and I have never been, and we would love to see everything too. And on that note, it's really kind of interesting is, you know, I know it's not 100% accurate, but my kids love the National Treasure movies. And even more so, my daughter is in love with the series. And there's a new Disney Plus series too, she's been watching and liking. So we kind of want to piggyback on that kind of interest and excitement, and use that to kind of, you know, get some American history and nostalgia and, you know, appreciation for that stuff in, while they're currently interested in it. So that's what we're hoping to do in terms of travel, and, you know, maybe a weekend or two some other places, but everything tends to be in such flux that we can't make any definite plans right now. That's us for travel, at least.
Yeah, one of the big things for we're kind of in the same boat. Like we always talk about doing something, especially together as a couple, my wife and I, and, you know, travel or go someplace. One thing, she doesn't listen to the podcast, so I know I can say this without worrying about her listening to it. But when her sister-in-law got married, my new brother-in-law. What is the title for your sister-in-law's husband?
Your brother?
Okay, yeah.
Family.
So, family. He was talking about, yeah, you know, next year we want to go on a trip together. I'm like, and, you know, that's great. Ramon and I want to go on a trip together too. How about we go on a trip together, with the one caveat that we do not tell my wife where we're going, when we're going, nothing. Okay, we'll plan it out. You and I will plan it out together, and we'll surprise them. It'll be a trip, so we're planning to do this trip without telling our wives. I don't know how well it's going to go, but for the sake of my own sanity and my bank account, I do not want to tell my wife about this trip. So I am going to pack for her. I am not going to tell her. It's just going to be one of those things where one day she'll come home, the kids will be gone. I'll be like, okay, get in the car, we're leaving, and we go.
You got to be careful. That's how, like, some, like, you know, horror movies, you know, kind of start out too. Where are the kids? I don't know. Let's go somewhere.
It is going to be an experiment, but that is one of the big things that we're planning for this year, or that I guess I'm planning, not we're planning. There's no we in this. Well, there is a we. Me and my brother-in-law are planning this, but it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. I'm sure there will be bumps along the way, but I'm excited at the prospect of planning a trip to surprise my wife and packing for her, because we'll get to see A, how well I know my wife, and B, how well I can pack for her with the things that she would have packed for herself had she packed for herself. So, but the other big one is the Maker Alliance summer camp. We're so excited for that. All of us, my wife, my kids. When David reached out and it was like, hey, you know, we are gonna do this again. Are you guys interested? My wife is like, yep, we're going. It's like, okay, there isn't a doubt. So we're gonna be there. It might be a big year of travel for me, at least for SketchUp. One of the things that we're planning out to do this year is Vox style mini documentaries about designers and companies and whatnot that design or do architecture. And so I'll be going out and you know, filming people and doing interviews and whatnot to create these little mini docs about the design community. So that'll be interesting to see where we end up going and who we end up talking to, and the videos that'll come from that. So that'll be exciting too. So it seems to be a year of potential travel. Hopefully no leak springs in my house that keeps us from going or something like that. But that's the plan anyway. Yeah.
So we've talked about traveling destinations. We talked about stuff in terms of possibly some content. Are there any new skills, whether it's work related or personal, that you maybe looking forward to doing this year?
Dare I say welder? The damn welder. Like, you know how tempted I
You
was
dare.
to just pull that sucker out like in the last day of last year, just to say I did it in 2022. Didn't happen. Chickened out. Maybe this is my year. Maybe not.
I'm thinking about enrolling in a class just to kind of learn.
Hmm.
I don't own the equipment on my own. I don't really have a good spot around my house to do it safely without something catching on fire. So I might end up just enrolling in a class to learn some of the basics.
It's a good idea.
But in addition to that, I actually might be joining my son's jujitsu class. I feel like
Very cool.
I need a physical outlet of something on a regular basis, and having a class with a special, especially set aside time, is probably the only way that I'm going to do it. And feeling some changes in age this year, I feel that I need something that's going to, help keep me a little bit more, not even in shape, but just, I guess, active, uh, to offset all the hours that I want to be in front of the computer doing other things.
Yeah.
I think I need to build that in. And I get to kick my son's butt a little bit. And probably get my kicked in the
I know. I was about to say, there may
not
be
not by him, but the other people in the class.
Okay.
He can't take me yet, even though he's the little booger's taller than me now. Yeah.
I still remember the day that I realized I was bigger than my dad, and I think he realized it too, because it's like, okay, we're seeing eye to eye now. We can have discussions. We can have discussions now. So I'm like, I'm bigger than you.
Well, I
Don't.
try to remind him he might be taller than me, but he's not bigger than me. That's both good and bad at the same time. Because I'm bigger in both directions.
One of the things that I'm learning, I'm actually taking a class right now, is kind of getting back into animation, digital animation now, with like After Effects and things like that. But part of my hopes and goals and expectations for my own videos, as well as some of the things that we want to do with the SketchUp videos, it'll apply to both. And so I'm taking animation classes again, which is kind of weird to say. So I'm like, the last time I took animation classes, it was a way different kind of animation.
Are
Uh,
you taking animation, or are you taking the class through that one service that you talked about?
yeah, yeah, yep. So it's been fun to get back into it. And what I'm geeking out about this week, kind of has to deal with drawing and art and animation. So it's been really cool getting, I don't know, kind of like dusting off the old skill set, I guess, that I didn't know I was going to be able to dust off ever again, and to sit down and draw and do animation and work. And it's been fun. It has been really fun. I have enjoyed. Nothing productive has come of it yet, just because it's all been preliminary and getting back into it and getting used to it. But it's been really fun to do again.
Nice. I'm
Are
looking
you
forward
are
to
you
you sharing your skills with us.
yeah. Are Dalton, are you doing the animation in After Effects, or are you using like Adobe Animate?
So right now it's in After Effects, but one of the things that I did is Adobe has a program called Maximo
Yeah,
or
I know what that is.
Mixamo. I don't know if
Mixamo.
it's Maximo or Mixamo.
Mixamo.
Mixamo. Um,
I've used it.
because yeah, it's basically what it is. It is a human modeler. It helps you model humans. It comes up with different actions or activities or poses or stuff like that you can do, and you can take those models into something like Blender or or a program or whatever. Because one of the projects that I'm working on is another book nook diorama, and I needed to model a human figure, which I've never modeled a human before, and so I used this service, this Mixamo, to model the figure to then take it into Blender and and change it around and whatnot and export it to be able to 3D print it. And it gets into rigging and puppetry and whatnot. Super cool. But I was like, hey, these are principles that I know and I understand. This is exciting. So I've touched on it a little bit, like the Adobe Animate and whatnot. It'll come eventually, but for right now, it's just Mixamo and After Effects and Blender.
That reminds me of a software I haven't thought about in a while. And Sean, you probably remember this. It was a software called Poser.
Oh yeah,
where people
we used to make fun of Poser.
Oh yeah. So it was similar to what you're describing. It had like preset humans in there, and people would pose them in not flattering ways all the time, and do things like, it was basically, they had like the female form you could adjust different sliders on to get different results, similar to Weird Science, if I remember some of the stuff about. And it was just, you'd see all kinds in the 3D modeling community. You just see people post things. You're like, did you use Poser for that? And they're like, yeah, I did. I'm like, come on, get out of here.
Poser is still around.
It is still around. Yeah.
Poser 12.
Wow.
That was funny.
Yep.
Yeah, we used to make fun of people that used it. But we were a little bit elitist using Maya. So.
Yes, sir.
Anyways,
playing with our teapots.
Yeah. Or the spaceships in the tutorials. Yeah. So other than what we've already mentioned, any other big plans for this year? Anything worth mentioning before we kind of move it on?
No. I think I'm pretty much covered on my end.
I have one that I kind of want to talk to you guys about, but we'll talk about it later. Other than that, those are
after episode stuff. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Entice people to tune. Yep, entice people to tune in next week.
I know.
You know what else entices us?
People over at Patreon/Making Geeks. That's not a URL. That's not how that works. Patreon.com/Making Geeks. Our patrons over there keep us busy with all their posting and their interaction on all of our different Discord channels and gaming servers and whatnot, and all the different ways we interact with them. We adore them greatly, including our top patrons, Jordan, Nolan, Square Splinter, and C3D Prop Shop. Thank you guys for your support.
Yeah, one thing I have to mention on that is that it's super cool because somebody from our community reached out to the community for ideas on a project he was having. And I don't know, I thought that was so cool. I'm like, here is a person who literally on his own could come up with fantastic ideas that we would all look at and be like, wow, that is so cool. But he's like, hey, I want to reach out to the community and see what ideas you guys have. And I had this moment where I was like, I am so thankful that we have these people together in this silly Discord arena where we all just like message each other and whatnot. And it's awesome to be able to have that and to have that community built around all this.
Absolutely. What are you guys geeking out about this week?
I can go first because I got a prop. So, like I said, getting back into art and drawing and animation and things like that. And so, one of the books that I picked up are from an artist that I love consuming his content. He inspires me, so I wanted to support him, and I got his book. It is called One of Those Days.
Well, I recognize
the artist.
him.
Yeah, the artist's name is Yehuda Devere. He's Israeli, I think. But basically, he draws these daily comics of married and family life. And the things that he draws are so, I don't know if they're relatable to anybody else. Like they're so funny. They're one panel, it's one picture, but it tells a story. It's humorous. The art style is just fantastic. And my wife and I both bond over looking at these pictures and be like, that's you. That's us, or pointing fingers at each other at who better exemplifies the thing that's going on in these pictures. And so I recommend, if you haven't seen any of his artwork, go check out Yehuda Devere. And if you love it, go support him, buy his book so he can make more art. So that's what I've been geeking out about.
I'm geeking out about a movie. Uh, I'm on the verge, well, not verge, but I'm kind of in the process of getting a little bit of like a superhero fatigue, just because there's so much content out there, and even something that is good just doesn't seem as appealing right now because we've had so much of it. So I've actually been enjoying a lot of different types of movies lately. And the last one I saw recently was really good, called The Menu, starring Ray Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy's in it, Nicholas Hoult, and a couple other people like John Leguizamo. And it has kind of the feeling of an indie film with big names, and it is a fantastic movie. It's kind of a dark comedy that has some very interesting social commentary, and I absolutely loved it. I don't think it was predictable. I don't think it was beholden to some other expectation. It is what it is, and I absolutely loved it. I think I saw it on Netflix. I can't remember where. Just on whatever streaming services you subscribe to, type it in and see if it comes up. It's definitely worth watching, but of course not for the kiddos. So it's called The Menu.
I'll check that out. The thing I'm excited about this week, geeking out about, is something my son got for Christmas, actually. So he has been into airplanes and military airplanes and stuff since Top Gun came out in the theater, the second Top Gun. And he definitely enjoyed that. He got a huge book for Christmas from us that is like U.S. Naval Aviation, and it was published around the same time period that I was in the military, so it has all the aircraft I'm most familiar with, since I was like literally running around them all the time, including the E-2C Hawkeye and the Tomcat and other things. And so, because the Mustang, the P-51 Mustang was in Top Gun Maverick, he's been into those as well. And so, he's been looking through the book and all that stuff, looking at all the different Mustang pictures. There's like a glossary. He's like trying to find all the pictures and references to different planes. And we got him an RC airplane, a cheap one from Amazon, from a company called Volantex RC. There it is. Volantex RC, $130. It's a styrofoam P-51 Mustang, and it's about I don't know, pretty small. It's like a foot wide, and it's intro RC airplane. And we took it out. I've never actually flown an RC airplane that's not in a video game, but I've flown drones before, and so I was like, oh, let's try this out. And it has three modes on it. It has a beginner, medium, and then an expert level that you can kind of dynamically switch on the controller. And the beginner and medium ones, they have basically auto leveling. So when you let go of the joystick, it'll auto level itself horizontally and get rid of any turns and stuff. So it's a lot easier to control. And so he was able to fly that thing round in circles and stuff for like a minute or two before he ended up crashing. Not permanently, just kind of like landing hard or whatever. And I was so impressed with him. He did such a great job, and I did a good job too. I was able to fly that thing for several minutes, to the point where you're like, can I have a turn, Dad? Okay, sure. And I like come in for a landing. I was even able to flip it over to the medium mode, where they don't restrict. So in the beginner mode, not only do they auto level, they restrict all the flight control surfaces, so you can't do too hard of a bank or yawing. All the different directions are not as aggressive, and so then in medium, it has less of a restriction on all those flight control surfaces. So you could do a loop to loop. You can't quite do a barrel roll with it, with the restrictions built in, but it sort of like kind of eases you into being able to control it with no assistance whatsoever. It's really cool. Pretty resilient. He flew the thing into the woods, and it's meant to pop the propellers off, and it has additional propellers that come with it, and you can buy them like a 3-pack for $15, and they're like press fit on, so they're meant to pop off with not much force so that it doesn't damage the engine or the little motor. They're really well made, and I was quite impressed. So if you're looking for something fun to do now that it's maybe warming up in your area, we had a 70-degree day here in January, which is very unusual for us, but it's a great day to go out into the park and spend a couple hours. I would recommend picking one of those up. from Amazon.
What's the flight time with the battery?
Surprisingly long. I bought additional battery. It came with 3 batteries, and I bought 5 more, so we had 8 total charged
Wow.
out there. We only went through 3 of them, and we were out there for like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. Now it wasn't
That's
like
very impressive.
consistent, flight time. Some of it we took, a break here and there, but you could probably get 20 minutes out of one battery, 20, 30 minutes.
That's weird though, because like with the drone, doesn't it seem like the battery time is a lot less?
Granted, they're powering 4 motors, where this one's just
I
one.
guess you're right.
I thought the same thing too. I'm so used to switching out. I had like the little mini FPV drone. It's like 4 minutes and you're done with the battery. So I'm like going through them like crazy. And this
I
was.
forgot about that. Yeah.
And if you don't fly it as aggressively, like you don't have to full throttle the thing for it to fly because it's so light. You could probably be in the first 25% of the throttle, and it will be enough where you could like bank and fly around, and it just doesn't use as much energy. It's pretty impressive for what it was.
So what do you prefer, RC plane or drone?
That's really hard. I love the first-personness of the drones, the FPV drones. When I first flew them, and I wish mine worked right now to fly it more often. It was very like it does have like a video game, but in real life feel to it, and it is more exhilarating. But it was really satisfying flying that thing around up there. And I always thought I would have issue where it was like facing towards me, and your like controls are reversed. Left is right, and that did kind of screw me up a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. I think all the years of playing around with, RC stuff and on different video games, I think helped a lot. But might be another hobby I might be dumping more time into, because we have a dangerously close hobby shop that had every range of plane from $100 cheap flyer to like $400 like F-14 Tomcat with swoopable wings in flight, and like a turbofan jet is crazy, like jet engine. It's nuts. And I'm like, what? This thing's like a 3-4 foot wingspan when fully deployed. I was like, this is ridiculous.
It'll show up on radar.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous. All of the cool stuff that we make.
That's true.
It really is. I think it's awesome. And if you come check it out, you'll think it's awesome too. So if you want to see all of the things that Sean is building, or if you want to watch the eventual moment where he throws a Glowforge in the trash, be sure to follow him on Geek Builders. If you want to see all the stuff that Wes is doing or designing or making, you can follow him on Once Upon a no Geek Smithing.
Why not?
Myself, now I am kind of broken up a little bit. I am still and will always be Once Upon a Workbench, but I have a new venture called Baba Makes that I am working on. So if you want to check any of that out, go follow either of those.
And you can also check out our website at makinggeeks.com. We have a contact page where you could contact us with information about the show, whether it is something that you're suggesting or maybe a topic idea. You could do that right there on the contact page. We have a store with Making Geeks themed merchandise for you to check out and possibly pick up. And on the homepage of the site, you could listen to all of our past episodes right there. We'd like to thank everybody for hanging out in the live chat with us. We record every Thursday evening. What am I going to say next? We record every Thursday evening on YouTube, and that is at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, and 6:30 Pacific. And you can find new episodes of the podcast every Saturday morning on your favorite podcast player of choice. And this wraps up episode 289. No, I'm sorry. What have I said? No. This wraps up episode 290.
290.
So high we can't count properly.
Yes, that is absolutely the case. So we are officially on our 10 episode countdown to 300, which is a huge milestone.
Yep.
And you'll be hearing more about it as we get a little bit closer to that time. But until then, have a fantastic week.
See you guys.
See ya.